I'm Barbara Altwig. This is my cousin Roberta McAllister, and would like to tell you what happened to us on the 26th of February. This was the day that the weather changed and the sleet started coming in. We were in Topeka that day, and it got late, not quite. It was starting to get dark, and we really debated about just staying over at a friend's house, but we looked at the road, and the road looked pretty dry, and we decided that we would start home. We went down I-70 west towards Wamego, and the traffic was very cautious. We were going about 40 miles an hour, and there was a dry trail that we followed, and it was just pretty calm driving. Everything looked pretty clear, not much going on. And I was behind a couple semis, and there was a couple other cars in the area, but the semis were throwing up a lot of slush and stuff on the windshield, and I didn't want to turn on the windshield cleaner because I thought it might freeze my windshield and crack it. So I went ahead and I passed the semis and got pulled back into the right-hand lane, and then that was fine. We were riding in the right-hand lane, and we went over a hill, and as we went over the hill, we hit an ice spot, a spot of black ice. You couldn't see it, so you can tell that part about it.
Well, and I'm going to back up just a little bit. I looked at the phone, and I had a false sense of security because it looked like we were running out of the snow, and so I had kind of like, okay, we're out of the snow. And then all of a sudden, when we came over this hill, it was like it started in motion, and we were, like Barbara said, on black ice, and we started to make a turn, and then she corrected just a little bit, but we made a circle, and it was like we were supernaturally held. It's undescribable how the feeling was, and we kind of like, we both said, I think, Jesus, or help her, and then it just kind of like we stopped moving, and she pulled off over to the edge of the road on the left side, and as we were just...
Well, we were sat down on the left side.
Yeah, we were sat on...
I
that's
didn't
right.
pull
Yeah.
down.
Yeah, she did. Yeah, we were sat on that. And it was like, wow, we were just, our breath and everything, we were like, what just happened? We were all in awe and still, just amazed that we were together. It was like we were saved, and we were grateful, and all of the emotions that you could think of were going through our hearts and minds, and then the white pickup, you described that.
Well, as I came over the hill and hit that ice, it started to slide just a little bit, so I knew that you're not supposed to yank the wheel, and so I just inched it a little bit to try to correct, and that did not help at all. It was sliding more, and so I get just a tiny bit more, and at that point we went into a total spin. There was just no point. Nothing that I did with the wheel had any effect whatsoever, and it's like we were picked up, and it was like a carnival ride where I could see light and darkness flashing, but we were going fast enough that I could not even tell which direction we were pointed. And that went on for a little while. And, I had total peace. It's like, it was indescribable, because we had no reason for peace. I'm thinking that the semis are right behind us. They could, run over us at any moment because they were right behind us. And I was kind of like, this isn't, the one regret I would have is that I couldn't tell my family goodbye, because I thought, man, this, it's just a strange feeling. It's like I could go home today, but when the spinning stopped, it's like we were sat down. There was no impact. There was no jerk. There was no. We were just sat down on the side of the road on the gravel. We were like clear over to in the left lane on the gravel off of the pavement, and further left of us, of course, would be a big ditch, and there was snow in the ditch. There were no tire marks in the ditch, and there was no way we could have spun in that direction and been on the ground and had without leaving tire tracks there. But we were just sat down, and so we were there gripping car handles or something and waiting for the impact. So we're there with her grabbing onto things, and we're like,
we're okay.
I was like, well, I'm okay. Are you okay? And we just kind of looked at each other. Then we were like, what just happened? And then after we sat there and looked at each other a little bit, then the cars and the semis started just buzzing by. And there's like they had never slowed down. They were still going 40 miles an hour. And one white pickup pulled over in front of us and just sat there. And we thought he was going to come back and ask us were we okay. So if the driver of the white pickup sees this, would you please get hold of us and tell us what you saw?
Amen. Yes.
But there had to be some sort of a time lapse because those vehicles, the two semis and a couple other 2 or 3 vehicles, they were right behind us.
Yes.
And
there was a bridge, ahead of us, and so again, it was like what we were saved from, and that was really what you're just sitting there like, wow, we were saved from all of this, or even going into the medium, just on many things that could have happened, but God, that's what you could just say, but God.
Well, it was totally impossible for a car to do what happened without
intervention,
angelic intervention.
Wow.
There's just no way it could have happened because there would have been tire tracks, there would have been skid marks, there would have been just for the car to be pointed. All I had to do once we calmed down was just put on my blinkers and pull back on. And then on the way home, we did going down 99 off of I-70 on 99 towards Wamego. There were 2 places where we went over the top of the hill, and the blowing snow absolutely whited out the road, that there was we could not see the road. We couldn't tell if we were in our lane or not because it was totally white, because on the top of the hills, the blowing snow was totally white. So you can imagine how glad we were to get home that night, but
and the husband waited supper for us. But anyway, we were just glad to serve them supper because, again,
it was an amazing experience. It was an amazing experience, and it just shows the love and the care of the Lord that He has for His people. That we prayed before we left,
yes, we did.
And other people were praying for us too, But this was.
A divine intervention.
Yes, it was an intervention. It wasn't driving skill, and it wasn't good circumstances. It was a miracle was the only chance we had to.
And it was even icy the rest of the way on Interstate 70.
Yes, we drove very slowly the rest of the way.
The hazard lights on, and we were with caution the rest
It
of the
was
way.
it was very icy
So,
the rest of the way.
yes.
It had been clear up until that
Yes.
time,
Yeah.
and then it was very slick and icy. So we crept along cautiously home.
And like you said, we were relieved just to pull into the yard and to be able to just like again, wow,
Turn the
like,
car off.
yes,
Yeah,
amazed,
we made it.
amazed.
But I would just like to say, you know, for those of you that, you know, there was nothing special about us. It's, you know, God does miracles. He does
Yes.
miracles for all these people. You just
Yes.
have to look for them. And when you need a miracle, you need to just call on the name of the Lord, and He will be there for you.
Amen.
We didn't have time to pray.
No, no.
We didn't have time to think about anything. We didn't really have time to call on the name of the
No.
Lord. It was very
It's kind of like
fast.
Jesus. That's not it. But it was just like, wow, we were going.
But it was totally an awesome experience in that I have so many times been reminded about God's intervention because He totally did that all on His own. You know, we didn't have time to ask, and
No.
He, you know, the Bible says in Isaiah, I believe, that before you ask, you know, I'll answer you before you call.
Amen.
You know,
He
and
is,
that's what happened.
yes.
He answered us before we called. But you know, we are very grateful,
Amen.
and also just the presence of the Lord. That
was. Yes.
just the sweet presence of the Lord that lingered. You
And it was
know,
like a holy time. I don't know how to even explain it so it can, you know, put it in words, but it was like a holy time. Like, you know, her and I, we shared this together. And, you know, and it was just like a moment that in time you're, you know, like life kind of almost stands still for just a few seconds, but yet it's a holy moment. And like we were saved. And we knew, you know, God has a purpose for us. It's not our time, but it was holy. It was just, I don't know how, I just felt a holiness that He had us in His hand.
and that He would not let anything happen to us.
Amen.
It gave me great confidence that He had proved one more time that He would not allow anything to happen to us, and that you know, He has plans, and He's not going to allow us to be taken out before our time. So
Amen.
we're just grateful, and we just want to tell you about this because you never know when you might need to call on the Lord for a miracle, and He will be there for you.
Yes. And it was proved to us.